I got a lot of inspiration from the Caribbean artist movement. You can't imagine what it felt like as a young aspiring poet to be at a function and somebody like George Lamond is speaking, the great George Lamond. Anyway, when I started to write these reggae poems now, there was a group of guys I used to go to school with who started to play the drums. And they call themselves Rasta Love. And I decided to team up. Well, they invited me to come and join them, And there's a Jamaican writer, novelist called Lindsay Barrett. I don't know if anybody have ever heard of him, Lindsay Barrett, who is based in Nigeria, gave me a drum, a Ghanaian box drum. So I used to play that with these guys. And they would improvise these Nyabingi rhythms. And while they're playing the rhythms, I would improvise words to go along with the drumming. And in a sense, we were doing something similar to what the last poets were doing, but it was a Jamaican thing as opposed to an American thing. And I began to write more and more poems, and I would recite my poems at youth clubs and community centers. Back in those days, if you had 20 people in a poetry reading, it was a huge crowd. And people began to take notice of my work, and I got some encouragement. And whenever I used to recite these poems, people, without the drummers, people used to say, well, them poems sound like music, man. Why don't you set them to music? Anyway, my career as a reggae artist began relatively late. I was 25 years old when I made my first recording back in 1977. I think this reggae talk will be best. We can get the most out of it through questions and answers. I don't want to keep rambling. I got a lot of encouragement from people like Yvonne Brewster, Aaron Lloyd, a Jamaican painter. I even got a proverbial pat on the back from Sam Selvon, the Trinidadian novelist, who insisted that I kept on doing what I was doing and not listening to no foolishness about formal poetry and Keats and Yeats and Shelley and all that, just to do what I was doing. And that gave me enormous confidence, to get the nod from these people who I had a tremendous amount of admiration for. Anyway, I'd written a long poem called Voices of the Living and the Dead, which we performed at this cultural center called the Keskedi Center in North London, accompanied by these Rasta drummers, Rasta Drum. And it was part of a trilogy of things. There was a play by Lindsay Barrett and a play by a Jamaican painter called Damex, an extraordinary, brilliant painter. I don't know if you've ever heard of him here in Jamaica. Damex. That was the name he went under. His real name is Stephen Hall. Brilliant painter. And he had a little one-act play. Lindsay had a one-act play, and I had the voices. And we staged at the Keskedi Center with the drummers. And Race Today, Towards Racial Justice, published it with a couple of the early poems from Notes and Wisdom. That was Voices of the Living and the Dead. That came out in 1974. And I was anxious to get published, and I kept sending my poems here and there, and got loads of rejection. But through the efforts of Andrew Salke, my second book of poems, Dread, Beat and Blood, was published by Bogle Overture, which was like the sister publisher of New Beacon Book. New Beacon Book was founded in 1966, and Bogle Overture was founded by Eric and Jessica Huntley from Guyana in 1968. And they published Dread, Beat and Blood, which became like an instant success, and I made my name and reputation off of that book. So I began to get a reputation as a poet within the black community. And in Brixton, at a school, a junior school, there was a couple of hippie guys. One hippie guy called John Barnum, who thought it was a good idea to produce an alphabet book for mostly black kids that were attending the school, called Natty Dread ABC. And it was like A for Africa, B for Black, C for Caribbean, D for Dready, and stuff like that. And so John Barnum knew about me, and he was a musician also, as well as being a teacher. And he got a job marketing reggae music for Virgin Records. Virgin Records had just became involved in marketing reggae music around 1976, 77. And so John came to me for help. And my job was to write sleeve notes, biographical details, and to write copy for the radio ads that they did, and voice these radio ads on the radio.